Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to another video from Ihsan Arabic. Today, we're looking at building simple Arabic sentences. So on this page, we've got two sentences, and both of these sentences would be considered nominal sentences, which means they don't have a verb. The first one here, هذا باب, means this is a door. And we'll go into the lack of the word is just in a minute. But before we do that, let's look at the second sentence on the page. الباب قديم. The door is old. And again, we're missing the word is here. In this, we do have the word the. The word the is just here, the al.
Yes, to say the door, all you've got to do is add alif lam. So whereas you had babun, that's a door, the door will be al babu.
Yeah, and notice when you put the al in front of a noun, the tanween is no longer there. It goes from being what, babun, to al babu. You never want to have al and tanween on this in the same word, because that just doesn't happen in Arabic. Now, both of these sentences follow the equation definite plus indefinite equals sentence. And if you can nail this equation when you're starting to study Arabic, it's really going to get you a long way in understanding how sentences are formed.
So if we look at the first one, this is a door. هذا, that's definite. All demonstratives are definite in Arabic. So هذا is definite and babun is indefinite. And that meeting of definite and indefinite, that's what gives us is here and makes the meaning this is a door.
Yeah, when you get definite plus indefinite, it's like they fizz together and they make a complete sentence. This is a door. It may sound very mundane, but it's a complete idea. If someone asked you a question, what is this? هذا باب would be a sufficient answer to that question. And so I could put a full stop there. And we've got a full sentence.
Now, if we look at the next one, it's the exact same principle. But instead of having a demonstrative, we've got a definite noun. If you add alif lam onto a noun, you've now made it definite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we go into definite in another video, and we explain how definite essentially means something is specific. So if you say the door, you're talking about one specific door. So that part of the sentence is definite, and then it's followed by an indefinite word, qadimun. An exact same thing. That meeting of a definite word and an indefinite word gives the meaning of is between them.
Yeah, so we don't need the verb to be. Now, let's zoom in on this example here, because the word qadimun is a describing word. We're using it to describe the word door. The door is old. And when you're starting to learn Arabic, it's useful to learn quite a few describing words. So let's have a look at different words here. So we've got the word ba'idun.
And then below it, we've given the opposite. So ba'idun and qaribun, they're opposites. Ba'idun means far, qaribun means close. It can be useful actually to learn adjectives with their opposite. Ghaniyun means rich. Ghaniyun is rich, and its opposite below, faqirun, then of course will mean poor.
Mm.
And then we've got qadimun.
Qadimun is old, as we saw in the last page. And then the opposite, of course, jadidun, is new.
You can't use these words for old and new with people, by the way.
Ah, good, yeah.
And this comes up a lot, actually, because you can say a person is old, but you can't say the opposite of that is not new, it's young. So you actually, here again, you see by learning the opposite, you actually get insight into the meaning of the word. And which is that here, this is for, well, objects, isn't it really? Most of the time, unless you had a new student or something.
Yeah, so this is, qadimun definitely is only for objects. You couldn't describe an elderly person with the word qadimun. And there's another way to do that. Essentially, though, you use the word kabir in short. It's a short way of saying kabir fi sin, which means long or big in the tooth. But we'll go into that another day. Essentially, just for now, we can't use qadimun for people. Jadidun, I mean, I don't think in English we'd say a new person anyway, but we could say a new doctor, a new nurse, and that's okay. But yeah, essentially, we can't use it to just talk about age, qadimun. So let's have a look at some examples of these adjectives embedded within the sentences which we just described in the previous slide, those definite plus indefinite sentences.
So one example we've got here is al-waladu faqirun. Definite al-waladu, the boy, and then indefinite faqirun to give us the meaning the boy is poor.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind. No tanween for definite. Tanween, by tanween we mean when we double the vowel to create the noon on the end. So this is not u, it's actually un. And then if I had without the tanween, just one dhamma, it's just u. So notice on the indefinite examples, like faqirun, we use the tanween. And the definite examples like al-waladu, there's just one dhamma, no tanween. And that's how you get that sort of equation within the sentence, which we'll repeat many times because it's very, very useful.
Then al-qalamu qadimun, we see it again. Here we've got the pen. Al-qalamu is qadimun, old.
Yeah, again, the is created from that equation, and we can see everything matching up there in terms of gender. And that's something which we need to talk about as well, is that the adjectives match the gender of the nouns. So al-qalamu is a masculine noun. In a simple way of looking at it is there's no ta' marbuta there, and we can then see it's masculine, and then it's the agreement qadimun won't have a ta' marbuta either, and so you have masculine. So even though the definite indefinite disagrees, the gender agrees.
Then we have al-bintu ghaniyatun. And following on from that, because the girl is a feminine word, because, well, you're speaking about a girl, a female person, then your adjective, in this case rich, it's not ghaniyun anymore. It's going to be ghaniyatun with a tar marbuta. Because just like the first part of your sentence is feminine, that second part has to be feminine too.
Yeah, and we can see exactly the same thing happening in the last example here. As-sayyaratu jadidatun. In which case, sayyara has a ta' marbuta, and it's a feminine word, and jadidatun matches. So it goes from being jadidun, perhaps as we saw in the vocab list, to jadidatun with the ta' marbuta, which is generally seen as the feminine marker in Arabic. So let's have a look at some exercises.
At-talibu faqirun. So talib, that's a student, and here has alif lam, so it means the student. And then we have the adjective faqirun, and it's indefinite, so I've got my sentence, the student is poor.
So when I'm translating here, I just assume it's there to create a nice sentence in English. Because if I said the student poor, then it wouldn't sound very good in English, but in Arabic it sounds absolutely fine.
Al-bintu ba'idatun, that means the girl. We had that in the slide before. And she is ba'ida, she is far. The girl is far away.
Yeah, you can see the girl is far, and yeah, the girl is far away. This is something which is nice to start quite early on when you're doing Arabic translations, is just start smoothing it out in English. So it's not always going to be word for word.
Then the car, how we say the car is as-sayyaratu. Sayyaratun with alif lam before. As-sayyaratu.
So let's say I did this and I was writing and I said as-sayyara, and then I just out of habit I put as-sayyaratun like that, because it's very easy to do at the beginning when you're used to putting that, and then I keep on going and I say as-sayyaratun jadidatun, and then what it's always nice to do is look back and have a checklist. The first thing we do is check definite and indefinite. And we know with the first part, if we want to make a sentence, it must be definite. I've got my alif lam, but there's a mistake there. The mistake is that I've put tanween on a definite noun. So what I really want to do is just put one dhamma. And now it's all correct. As-sayyaratu jadidatun.
And the last one, the key is old. Al-miftahu qadimun. Al-miftahu, that's a definite noun, and it's also masculine. So that means qadimun will be masculine too.
Brilliant. So if there's two takeaways from this lesson, it's that indefinite and definite have got to disagree, and gender has got to agree in these nominal sentences, which some people, when you start learning the Arabic terminology, we would call it a jumla ismiya.
Now here are some examples from the Quran, and you've got both of these examples start with Allahu, and of course Allah is a definite noun. Yes, there's only one God is specific, and in English we show that by actually capitalizing it. We write it with a capital G, as opposed to with a lower G we would use for gods, let's say where there's more than one, where you have many gods and it's not specific.
Yeah, so we write God with capital G when you're talking about the one God. And in Arabic, the word Allah is the name of God. And in this case, it's equivalent to, writing God with a capital G. It's when you say Allah, we all know it's a fact that there's only one God. So we say Allahu qawiyyun. So we've got the definite there, and this is followed by an indefinite word, qawiyyun, meaning strong. And this is, as we say, the addition of these two words creates a full sentence where we can put a full stop at the end, and it's all correct. It's a complete idea there.
And then we have Allahu Azizun, which is on the exact same lines. And here, Azizun, we can translate it as mighty. So this meaning here is Allah Ta'ala is mighty.
Yes. And so what you can do to practice this is when you're reading the Quran is look out. Perhaps maybe you won't even understand the vocabulary yet, but you will understand the Allahu being definite followed by an indefinite adjective there. So let's read the Quran and have a look for that.
Thank you very much for watching and listening. Be sure to like and subscribe, and that way you'll be the first to know when we release a new video, inshallah. Alright, ma'a salama.